So the hierarchy of power in the DC universe just changed. Or did it? Welcome guys to my Black Adam review, a movie I've been very excited for a very long time for a numerous amount of reasons. But number one is that Black Adam is one of my favorite DC characters because he's not a villain, but at the same time he is. He's a very complex character. You can understand where he's coming from. And although this movie did change his origin story a little bit, I thought what they did was phenomenal. It made me care about the character. It gave the character depth, which I'll get to later on, but I thought what they did was amazing. Second reason why I was so excited, and if you know me well, you probably know why, is because of the fan casting of The Rock. I love when fan castings come true. It makes me very excited for not just the project that's being worked on, but the fans who are excited to watch the film. And I've wanted The Rock as Black Adam, as so many others have, for a very long time, and we actually got that. But the thing that makes it even more exciting was the fact that The Rock himself really wanted to portray this character, and he did it magnificently, and it was so badass to watch him on screen as Teth Adam. I'm very, very impressed with everything this movie had to deliver in terms of action and CGI and all that great stuff. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. There's a few things I want to talk about specifically, so I'll get into the first topic right now.
I never said I was a hero.
Giving you respect, I expect the same thing.
You believe you are not worthy, but fate does not make mistakes.
So the first thing I want to talk about with this movie is the story or the plot. Every good movie has a good story or a good plot, and I thought this movie's plot had a really clear MacGuffin, that being Sabac's crown. They were trying to prevent the bad guys from getting, I don't even remember the bad guy's name, from Sabac's crown. They didn't want him to get it. They're like, nope, you can't have it. It's ours. Don't touch it. Bad stuff happens. But the bad guys wanted it because bad guy wanted to turn into Sabac or use the powers of Sabac. So they tried their best to avoid getting the crown into the wrong hands, and that was pretty much the story of the movie. It was a very clear-cut narrative, but I think this story didn't need to be overly complex. This story was supposed to surround Black Adam or Teth Adam's character, and I thought when it did surround itself and cloak itself around this character, it shined. It really, really did. I am very happy with what they did with his character, with developing his backstory, and although they changed his origin story a little bit, what they did was amazing. I really like that shot where, and kind of a twist, where you kind of get revealed that his son was actually Black Adam first, and you see when he transforms and says the words for the first time, you see the classic like New 52 Black Adam there, and then when it gets transferred over to the Rock's character Teth Adam, that's when you get to see the Rock from the movie. So the Black Adam from the movie. So I really, really did enjoy that. I thought that was a really nice Easter egg for the fans like myself. Although we know who Teth Adam is, we know Teth Adam's Black Adam, having that little twist that his son was originally the chosen one first, I really, really enjoyed.
On the team. I didn't bring a passport.
We don't need passports. We're the Justice Society.
There's a war going on.
So the rest of this section is going to be pretty short, which is my first kind of complaint for the film, is the characters didn't really matter to me that much. I love Dr. Fate, I love Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. They're all great characters, but that's all they were. They were characters. They weren't people. You didn't learn about Dr. Fate's backstory. You didn't learn about Atom Smasher's backstory outside of his suit, which was a hand-me-down. You got a tiny bit of Cyclone's backstory, with her being like sold to the government, and they did experiments on her and stuff. I just wish we had gotten more of that, because if any of these characters were to die, I really wouldn't feel anything. That's why when they killed off Dr. Fate at the end of the film, it sucked, because I love Dr. Fate. He is so cool. He's one of my favorite DC characters. I just didn't feel much because the movie didn't allow me to care about his character beyond what I know in the comics. And this character isn't from the comics. It's from the DC universe, the film universe, I mean. So I didn't have that emotional attachment with the character I was seeing on screen. And I really want that with the characters I'm watching and supposed to care about. You had a whole bunch of other side characters that I don't even remember the names. We didn't really get a lot of character development with any of them. I didn't care about any of the other characters. I only really cared about Black Adam and Dr. Fate. Atom Smasher and Cyclone were great, but we didn't really get a lot of them. Dr. Fate, man, he was so badass. I loved how they showcased his powers here. He was forced to be reckoned with, and they definitely toned him down a bit because he is overpowered as hell in the comics and in the games. But I thought with what they did, considering the story and what had to be done in terms of, protecting destiny and fate. I thought it was well handled and well written. I do want to say one of my favorite shots in the show is when they're getting Teth Adam out of the underwater facility where Amanda Waller is holding Teth Adam, and you see that classic Injustice like move when he breaks him out, and you see the glowing eyes on the helmet at the end of the film. That was incredibly badass. We also had Hawkman. So Hawkman, didn't get a lot of him either. I mean in terms of backstory, he was really cool, really badass, and he put up a fight, but we didn't really get any of his backstory. And there's a lot of cool backstory with Hawkman, and I'm really sad, the general audience to get to see any of it. I kind of wish they had killed Hawkman instead of Dr. Fate, because Hawkman's kind of immortal and he just like reincarnates, so he would have been fine. He would have been chill. So I do hope we see more Dr. Fate. I'm pretty sure the mantle goes down to his granddaughter, Zatanna, so I wonder what's going to happen there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it goes to his granddaughter or his niece. I don't quite remember, but I'm very excited to see more of Dr. Fate and what he can bring to the table. Lastly, I want to talk about Sabak. Sabak was awesome. He was badass. His powers were cool, but that was basically it. That's all you had for Sabak. You had the champion of Sabak, who was a dude who was the last living descendant of King something, who was evil and bad and So, yeah, Sabak was really cool. It was a long road to figure out who the villain of this film was. There's so few people who can go up against Black Adam. Now that we finally get to see it in, full swing, I really did enjoy it. And I'm very, very excited to see more of Black Adam, what else he can, or who else he can take on.
So I'm out it up.
Something I go into movies really hyped for is the soundtrack. If the movie doesn't have a good soundtrack, I have a hard time resonating with the film because music plays a very strong role in affecting how the audience feels about a certain scene. And I thought the soundtrack here was okay at best. And by soundtrack, I don't mean the lyrical music, like Paint It Black played at the beginning. That was cool. It's just weird that they used the copyright version of it, so it kind of took me out. I was like, okay, I get why they used it. It was a badass action scene, don't get me wrong. It just kind of took me out of the film. I like more of the orchestral stuff with a composer and creating original music for the film, and I don't really remember any memorable tracks from the film, to be honest. I'll have to go back and listen to a few more, but I just don't remember it being in the film and going, wow, that soundtrack is amazing. I just don't remember feeling any of that. Although that's disappointing because the soundtrack is one of my favorite aspects of a film. It didn't ruin the film for me. It didn't take me out of the action or anything. The action definitely made up for it, and there was a lot of action here. There was a lot of action in this film, but overall, soundtrack was okay, I guess. And I hope that in the next film, the next time we see Black Adam, we get a full suite of his theme and get to hear more of it.
You can be the destroyer of this world. Or you can be its savior.
So my final thoughts for the film. Black Adam was everything I wanted it to be. It was a little bit more in some areas and a little bit less in some areas, that being the soundtrack. Some of the dialogue was cheesy, and the characters just weren't there at times. I just didn't really care about them that much. But overall, the action was phenomenal. The CGI was great. I came to see a Black Adam movie, and that's exactly what I got. It looked amazing. Kahndaq was great. Great city full of life. It has a huge story to tell, and I want to see more of it. The soundtrack was okay, not that memorable. Characters, like I said, just didn't do it for me. The writing was okay, a lot of cheesy dialogue in there as to be expected. It is a superhero movie, but nothing that was like super bad it took me out. I would like to mention it was actually a pretty funny movie. There was a lot of funny moments in this film, and The Rock did a great job at that. It's like when he throws the person in the air and just lets him, and you just see him fall and boonk, and he's like, didn't make it. So I just like that whole gunk, and I love when you don't tell like a stupid joke. I like sometimes when the humor is a little bit more interpretive, I guess, or it's a little bit more less dialogue focused, I suppose. But I really like that. It was actually a really funny movie. It was funny when it needed to be, and it wasn't overly, stuffed with comedy like Marvel movies nowadays are. And I really did appreciate the little bit of comedy we got in this movie. And of course, I can't end this video without talking about that post-credit scene or mid-credit scene. So I went into the movie going, I'm going to give this a 0 out of 10 if my boy Superman is not in the film. And the movie ended and he wasn't in the film. I was like, God, this movie sucked. How could you have a Black Adam movie but not even mention Superman? I didn't even need to see Superman. How could you not mention Superman? And then not only do they mention Superman, they fucking show Superman. And not just Superman, but my boy Henry Cavill came out with a new classic looking Superman suit. And he, oh my God, Black Adam, we should talk. It was so good. It was... I am so surprised and shocked that they were able to pull this off. It was such a great mid-credit scene, and I cannot be happier for the future of the DCU, because my biggest issue with the DCU is the fact that every movie feels like a one-off. It doesn't feel connected at all, and the only connecting factor is Amanda Waller here. And I know Amanda Waller is supposed to be like the DC version of Nick Fury, I get that, but it's nice to mention characters and make it feel a little bit more connected, and I feel like this movie did a great job at that, with not just showing one or character, but two characters that were a part, two major characters, a part of the other movies. So I'm really hoping to see Black Adam down the line face off with Superman. But overall, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of Black Adam down in the comments below. And if you want to be notified every single time I upload a new movie review, don't forget to hit that notification bell. And once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next review for the DC Universe.
Subscribe to HaynesVisuals for some more frickin' fun.